minus 2 hours. Welcome back to our colonoscopy preparation podcast series. I am your host, Bimal Maharzan, and today we arrive at T minus 2 hours before your colonoscopy, and we are focusing on ensuring a seamless arrival and preparation at the medical facility. This step is crucial for a stress free procedure and understanding how to navigate these final hours is key to your readiness. In this episode, we blend practical tips with expert science backed advice to guide you through your arrival at the medical facility. Whether you are a patient, a caregiver, or a healthcare provider, our goal is to provide you with the knowledge and tools to approach your colonoscopy with confidence and ease. Our discussions are based on the latest guidelines from the leading health organizations and insights from experienced professionals and patients. Today, we delve into the specifics of check-in process, what to bring, where to go once you arrive at the facility, and how to handle any last-minute medical or professional concerns. This segment is not just about showing up, it's about making sure you and your healthcare team are as prepared as possible for the procedure. Accompanying each episode, we offer user guides and actionable checklists that complement the podcast content. These resources are designed to make your preparation straightforward and reassuring. Make sure to consult the show notes and episode descriptions for links to these essential tools. Today's episode is crucial as it addresses your immediate needs upon arrival at the facility, managing pre-procedure anxiety, and ensuring all your medical and personal logistics are handled efficiently. We provide in-depth guidance on how to prepare for the check-in, what to discuss with your medical team, and how to stay calm and collected. And before we begin, please remember, while GutsFair provides self-help, care tools, and resources, we are not a healthcare provider. Our content is intended to complement, not replace, professional medical advice and treatment. Always consult with a healthcare professional for personal medical needs. So prepare to gain essential insights at this episode, which is packed with crucial advice to ensure you arrive prepared and confident. Let's begin with your final steps before the colonoscopy. Here is everything you need to know about arriving at the medical facility. And as usual, let's follow a Q&A format so that it's easier for you to complement and collect the information that we provide. The question is about arrival and check-in process. What time should I arrive at facility for my colonoscopy? And does this time allow for any pre-procedure paperwork? You should aim to arrive at facility approximately 30 to 60 minutes before your scheduled procedure time. This window allows for any necessary pre-procedure paperwork and helps you accommodate any unforeseen delays. For example, if your colonoscopy is scheduled for 8 a.m., plan to be there by 7 a.m. to ensure you have enough time to settle in and complete any administrative task. The next question is, where exactly should I go once I arrive at the facility? Is there a specific entrance or check-in area for colonoscopy patients? Upon arrival, head directly to the specified check-in area for colonoscopy patients. Most facilities will have clear signage directing you to the right place. Look for a sign marked endoscopy suite or surgical check-in, or ask a staff member at the main entrance for direction upon entering the building. Always ask the staff members. Sometimes I understand signage are confusing, but always asking a staff member in the hospital or a clinic is always helpful. I ask that all the time, even though I read the sign is for me sometimes I just want to reconfirm what I have read. Another question is what identification or medical documentations do I need to bring with me? Obviously, bring a valid form of identification such as driver's license or passport or and your medical insurance card. Also, bring any medical documentation or referral letters from your doctor. For example, you can prepare a folder containing your ID, insurance information, and any test results or medical notes that are relevant to your procedure. Most likely, your doctor will already have all documents, medical documents. Especially when it's a referral, make sure that your previous doctor has transferred all the medical history to your current provider so that the current doctor has all the information, such as medical history, specifically when you have comorbidities. Make sure that your specialist team has sent across all the documents to the current gastroenterologist, or if you're carrying one, make sure you can put in a docket and carry those and hand it over to your healthcare team. Next question is, how can I communicate any last minute changes in my health or medication since my last consultation? We have talked about this as well. If there are last minute sicknesses, depending on the severity of your condition or symptoms, healthcare provider will make a decision either to continue or reschedule. If the severity is not so much or is less severe, then it will be continued. Otherwise, they will reschedule it. And if there has been any changes in your health or medication since your last consultation, inform the check-in staff or nurse as soon as you arrive. They will note these changes in your medical file for doctor. For example, if you have had to start a new medication or have experienced significant health changes, mention these immediately during check-in to ensure the medical team is fully informed before proceeding. And next is about managing anxiety and comfort. And we have answered this multiple times in T-6, T-evening, because some level of anxiety and comfort are obvious. I had those anxiety and I had concern about my discomfort. So it's already only normal to have the question. And the question is, if I am feeling particularly anxious upon arrival, are there resources or staff available to help me manage these feelings? Most facilities offer resources to manage anxiety, such as access to a nurse or a counselor who can provide reassurance and information. Remember, don't hesitate to express any feelings of anxiety to staff if you have one. Most likely, we wish that you don't have one, but if you have one, do not hesitate, just ask. For example, ask the reception or nursing staff if there is someone you can talk to if you feel overwhelmed. Many facilities also have quiet rooms or areas where you can relax before the procedure. Another very practical question is, what items are allowed to bring with me for comfort, such as headphones or a small blanket? You are typically allowed to bring small personal items that can help comfort you, such as headphones to listen to the music or a small soft blanket, and pack a small bag with headphones or a music player with your favorite soothing playlist, and a lightweight blanket to help you feel more at home and less stressed. If you need it, obviously, but I didn't carry any of those. I was happy that I'm getting after that I was getting this colonoscopy done. Although I was a bit nervous, but sometimes putting a smile on your face can uh, tell the conscious to be remain calm. So that's what I did, and that may not work for everybody. But again, make all the resources available to you. Make utilize of that. For example, talk to the counselor, talk to the nurse. If you have a family member or friends, talk to them. If you have a music, listen to the music. If you can meditate, meditate, breathing exercises. and all what that works for you. You should make use of that to remain calm and manage your anxiety. And obviously, there are additional things to think about if you are a patient with chronic conditions. And the question they may have is, should I bring all the list of my current medications and dosages, especially for my chronic conditions, to share with a medical team? Ideally, your healthcare team would already have all the medications unless something had changed. Although to be on the safer side, always bring a comprehensive list of your current medications, including dosages, the time you take them, especially if you have chronic conditions. I think these information are especially crucial. We talk about this multiple times if you have taken medications such as for blood pressure, diabetes, and liver conditions and kidney conditions, you need to make sure because it may interact with the sedatives and anesthesia and all the bleeding. So it may interact with them. So it's important to be cautious and then inform everything, all the medications you're taking and health conditions to a medical team. Furthermore, about the patient with chronic conditions, the question is, how will my chronic conditions, such as diabetes, heart disease, be monitored before, and during the procedure? Again, when you have informed medical staff of your chronic conditions upon your arrival, they will appropriately monitor both before and during the procedure. This is crucial conditions that might affect anesthesia, such as diabetes, heart diseases, COPD, or sleep apnea. For example, if you have diabetes, discuss how your blood sugar will be monitored. For conditions such as COPD or sleep apnea, make sure the anesthesiologist is aware that they can adjust their approach if necessary. And one specific question about sleep apnea or COPD. Is there any specific I should do upon arrival if I have a condition that could affect anesthesia, like sleep apnea or COPD? So if you have conditions that could affect anesthesia, such as sleep apnea, bring any necessary device at CPAP machine or inform the anesthesiologist about the condition. For example, show up a bit earlier to discuss your sleep apnea with the anesthesiology team and hand over your CPAP machine for use during recovery if needed. And usual, whenever you go to the any clinic or hospital, there will be wait time. And question is, how long is the wait time typically before the procedure starts? And can my accompanying adult stay with me during this time? The wait time before a colonoscopy can vary. Typically, you should be prepared for a 30 to 60-minute wait as prior procedures may extend longer than anticipated. Upon checking in, ask the reception about the expected wait time and whether there are any delays. Most facilities allow your accompanying adult to stay with you during this time, providing support until you are taken into the procedure room. And for your accompanying adult or friend or family member, they want to be occupied. So the question is, are there facilities available for accompanying adult if they have to wait, such as cafe or waiting room with Wi-Fi? Facilities often have amenities such as waiting areas with Wi-Fi, cafes, and magazines to ensure that those accompanying patients are comfortable during the wait. So for your family member, like or a friend or anybody accompanying them, so be prepared to wait for an hour or so, depending on because that includes the procedure time, the wait time, and also the sometimes your procedure delays because of the previous procedures. For in my case, my wife always carries a book with her and her cell phone, which has a lot of data on it, so she can watch or listen to music, or she can read the book, and she prefers to read the book instead of watching any of those. So always request to carry one of those so that they're not bored while waiting. And of course, it's either early morning, they can go grab a coffee. Most of the facilities have the cafes, or or if there isn't one inside the facility, there is always just outside because they can be available if they need to be. But again, if they are in the vicinity of facility, that should be fine, is my opinion. So, m- in order to make the wait time enjoyable, coffee, tea, reading book, watching a series, listening to the music, or taking a walk in the vicinity of the facility can will be helpful. Let's move on to pre-procedure preparation. And the question is, will I meet with the gastroenterologist or anesthesiologist before the procedure to discuss any last-minute questions or concerns? In my case, I did not meet with them in prior to my procedure. Obviously, after I checked in, after I waited, I was taken into the waiting area, and I met with a nurse who gave me a gown. So she sent me to the change room. I changed the gown. Then I was taken to bed, and there was a cot around. So I waited there, and she talked to me. She asked me about whether my medications, health history, and she had obviously a chart that when she went through. But I did not meet the anesthesiologist or the gastroenterologist. And after the wait time was over, I was wheeled on a bed to the procedure room, and that's where I met the colonoscopy team that included my gastroenterologist and also anesthesiologist and also nurses and everybody, and they were very friendly. So, and maybe you may want to ask that you whether you want to talk to anesthesiologist and gastrologist if you need it to the nurse, and maybe they will come and talk to you. But again, it's always helpful to ask. And if you want to discuss any last minute changes, you can definitely ask, and I'm sure they would come out and have a chat with you. So, for those who are concerned about anesthesia, the question is what type of anesthesia will be used and how will it be administered? Anesthesia for colonoscopy usually involves sedative that can range from light sedation to the deep sedation, depending on the specific of your case and your previous experiences with anesthesia. For example, it varies by countries, I guess. Uh, I was reading and read it that in Russia, they don't provide any sedatives at all. Whereas in the United States, where I got my colonoscopy, they gave me a deep sedation. I didn't feel a thing. Whereas when I did endoscopy in Nepal, they didn't give me any sedative. Uh, so I don't know about the colonoscopy. So it may vary depending on the country to country. Maybe in England they provide you light sedatives, but in the US they really put you to sleep. I really went to a very deep sleep. I didn't feel a thing. So if you're concerned about this, you can definitely talk to your anesthesiologist, and an anesthesiologist will explain whether you will receive a light sedative, which might make you drowsy but awake, or deeper sedation where you'll be fully asleep, ensuring you feel no discomfort during the procedure. I felt no discomfort at all. It was like deep sleep. When I woke up, it was the best sleep I ever had. It kind of felt like that. Next question is, how should I prepare for anesthesia, especially if I have reaction to it in the past? Of course, if you have had reactions to anesthesia in the past, it's essential to communicate this to your anesthesiologist so they can adjust the medication accordingly. Mention the past reaction. What was the reactions, such as nausea or dizziness, so that anesthesiologists can preemptively manage these issues with different medications or doses. Let's move on to post-procedure expectations. The question is, where will I wake up after the procedure? Who will be there when I do? So most likely you typically wake up in a recovery area where you are closely monitored as sedation wears off. The recovery team will have a medical staff on hand to ensure your awakening is as comfortable as possible, and they will check your vitals and regularly as you regain consciousness. So I woke up in the recovery area. There was a nurse who was looking after me, and also there was my wife. It, I think already an hour had passed or 15-20 minutes after the procedure was done, and it was like waking up from a deep sleep. Sometimes what happens when you wake up in early in the morning, you don't know if it's a dream or real, and after a certain time, they know, oh, already awake. And obviously, as soon as you wake up, your brain doesn't function properly, kind of way. It's similar to waking up early in the morning, is what my experience. So after that sort of time, few minutes passes in, I started regaining consciousness, and again, the process was done. Is a sigh of relief, and I was happy to go home. But for people who are curious about the monitoring and the post-procedure, especially concerning the chronic conditions, the question is, how will my immediate post-procedure recovery be monitored, especially concerning my chronic conditions? So your recovery monitoring will focus on immediate effects from the anesthesia as well as management of your chronic conditions, if applicable. For example, if you have diabetes or heart disease, the medical staff will monitor your blood sugar levels or heart functions as a part of recovery process to ensure there are no complications. Now it's a time for you to go home. The question is, what is the process for getting discharged? And what instructions will I receive for at-home recovery? The discharge process involves a review of your procedure, any findings and detailed instruction for home recovery. You will receive written instructions about diet, possible side effects, medical adjustments, and sign of complications that should prompt an immediate call to your doctor. In my case, so it was a couple of years ago, I do not remember getting any of those and instructions at all. Maybe there was a sheet of paper, but that's what hard about getting a sheet of paper. It's very confusing, long list of it. I think that's the reason why I'm making this video and creating GosFair platform is for the patients so that they can take self-care and know everything they need to know and take control of their recovery. In my case, that trigger came from two things. One, my weight loss during a 1 week of the colonoscopy procedure, and second is about the insurance billing. So those two things triggered me to go on a journey of founding Guts Fair. But again, uh, you can definitely ask for the recovery instructions about diet and possible side effects and have an emergency contact number ready. Even the knowledge that you can ask these questions becomes very powerful, and you can definitely do so. Otherwise, you can follow the guidance from this podcast. Now, obviously, when you have a medical condition, you can always talk to your healthcare provider. And finally, get into the transportation and recovery. What instructions should I give my driver for picking up after the procedure? So your driver should know when and where to pick up, and they may need to come inside to assist you depending on the facilities policies. If they are not waiting with you, then obviously you'll have to call them. And to know to call them, you can have a phone handy and you can wait in a waiting area while you call. And obviously, the medical team will not send you home without somebody picking you up. So inform your driver of the expected discharge time and location and make sure they understand that they need to provide physical support as you may still be groggy from anesthesia. So it's important to make sure that your car ride home is as comfortable as possible to prevent any discomfort or strain on your body. Obviously, you are not the one who should be driving. It's always it's always your adult supervision or a friend, family member. For me, as I said again, it was my wife who drove me home. So never drive. And obviously, if you feel more groggy or sleepy, it's useful to have a pillow or a blanket in the car for cushioning and adjust the seat to a semi-inclined position to avoid pressure on your abdomen. Avoid long car rides immediately after the procedure if possible. So in T minus 2 hours, we have talked about how to prepare, having last minute changes, and also about uh, the post procedure expectations. And we have synthesized all these things into two resources. As I talked to you earlier, number one is T-2 hours coloscopy preparation user guide. So what we have done is we have created that in a tabular format with a column of time, activity, instructions, and notes. And again, we have step-by-step instruction in that so that you can simply take a printout of that and go through the step-by-step so that you don't have to think, just act. Furthermore, in order to make this actionable, we have accompanied the user guide with checklist. So please refer to our show notes or description to get a link for those user guide and checklist. And we have come to the end of T-2 hours episode. Thank you for joining us through this detailed phase of your colonoscopy preparation. We have navigated through crucial steps today, ensuring you are thoroughly prepared as you arrive at the facility and wait for your procedure. In this episode, here's a quick recap. We have covered everything from your arrival, checking at the medical facility, to handling anxiety and managing comfort. We have discussed how to communicate last minute health updates, especially and effectively, and ensuring that those of you with chronic conditions are well prepared with necessary information at hand. By now, your understanding of what to expect in these final hours should be clear. We have made sure you know where to go, what to bring, how to interact with healthcare staff to ensure your procedure goes as smoothly as possible. Remember, it's normal to feel a bit anxious as you approach the procedure time. Utilize the resources and support available at the facility and do not hesitate to express any concerns you may have to the medical staff. They are here to assist you and ensure your comfort. Our next episode will focus on what happens immediately after the procedure. We'll guide you through the recovery process, discuss what sensations or reactions you might experience, and what steps you should follow once you leave the facility. This information will help manage your post-procedure care effectively. And a final reminder, please double check your checklist and ensure you have communicated all necessary information to your medical team and driver. Stay hydrated, relax as per the instructions provided, and trust you are in good hands. Thanks all for the T-2 hour episode. We wish you a calm and successful procedure. Thank you for trusting us to guide you to this point. We will be there to support you as you wake up and begin recovery. Good luck and see you in the recovery phase of our series.